Hello, and we are going to talk about some things going on in the world here regarding the climate situation. I know this is going to be another climate update, but there's news. We got to talk about what's going on in Alaska, and I feel it deserves its own video because we're seeing things we've never seen before. And I want to read to you this article from the Time magazine on the heat and wildfires in Alaska as temperatures hit 90 degrees on Independence Day. So, it's about 80 degrees inside Brian Betschneider's Anchorage, Alaska home, but he can't open his windows. Smoke is drifting into the city from the nearby Swan Lake wildfire, and he's trying to keep the ash out of his house. In the distance, even the mountains outside the city are hidden by smoke. Temperatures rose to 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the first time in Anchorage, Alaska on Thursday, decimating the previous record of 85 degrees. This year, the state experienced its hottest June on record, following its hottest spring on record. At the same time, the state is experiencing significantly more widespread wildfires, which are eating up vegetation that were dried out by the heat and spruce trees killed by the spruce bark beetle, which thrive in warmer temperatures. Sound familiar? Brett Anderson, a senior meteorologist for AccuWeather, says that 634,000 acres in Alaska have been burned by fires this year, compared to about 411,000 acres in all of 2018. Brett Schneider, a research climatologist at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, warns Time that extreme weather is only going to get more common in the region. It's extremely challenging to attribute any particular event to climate change. But that said, it's much more likely for these type of events to occur in a warming world, Brett Schneider says. Anderson tells Time that rising global temperatures are making extreme weather events worse. It's certainly adding to it, no question about it, Anderson says. It's not as rare as it used to be. In Alaska, temperatures are being driven up by warmer water and reduced sea ice, Anderson says. In the northernmost parts of the state, melting permafrost is also releasing methane gas, which further contributes to climate change. And there's a link to a Twitter status here that we're going to open up here and look at what this Twitter status says here. And it says here, we're going to try to pull this up. Yesterday was the hottest day in recorded history of Anchorage, Alaska, 90 degrees. Today, the city sky is obscured by wildfire smoke. This is what living in a climate emergency looks like. Quite frightening. Anyway, getting back to the article, this summer, the hotter temperatures have had the worst effect in the southern two-thirds of Alaska, including Anchorage. A week ago, temperatures in the state capital, Juneau, broke records 3 days in a row, according to Anderson. The fires dampened the city's Independence Day celebrations. Anchorage canceled the municipality's annual fireworks display and issued a burn ban, which disallows wildfires, campfires, and open flame cooking fires. The Anchorage Police Department warned that more police officers would be on duty to enforce the ban. Don't risk burning down our fine town, the police wrote in a message to the public. Anderson warns that while Alaska can expect to see lower temperatures in the middle of next week, things won't cool off for very soon. The state can expect to see above average temperatures going into the autumn. Brett Schneider argues that as the climate changes, people in Alaska and across the country need to learn to adapt to more changeable conditions. In Alaska, he says, the state has already started to construct bigger culverts around roads to ensure they can handle increased precipitation. Cities are built to a large degree for the climate that they exist in. In Alaska, probably 0 combined houses have central air conditioning in the state. But that's the climate that we live in, or that we used to live in, he said. We need to rethink how we build cities for the future. So an excellent article there, and I'll put links to more about what's going on in Alaska in this video. But this is a serious climate emergency we're in, and coming up, I think, in the next week, we're going to talk about areas of the world that people may have to move to at least areas of the world where we'll have to take shelter from the heat. At least, some people can take the heat and the humidity. I can't, and we're going to have to look at some of those kind of areas and around the world that would be safest from climate change, though it will affect the whole world, unfortunately. There's really no escaping it. It is going to affect everything. But the key is certain patterns are setting up in the atmosphere right now that if they become permanent, we're going to talk about what areas are going to become tropical and what areas are going to become safe from this. And Alaska, unfortunately, is becoming more and more tropical, or becoming hotter. This is a climate emergency, and people need to take this stuff seriously. But unfortunately, as long as we have the people that are in our government right now in the United States, particularly our president, and the Democrats aren't much better, we're going to continue to have this problem because we have Wall Street, big fossil fuels that are running the government. And as long as these kind of people have, as long as these groups like Wall Street and the fossil fuel industry have power over our government, it's only going to continue to get worse, and it may take pressure from other countries in the world to, force us to get our act together in the United States. We really need to, get off burning fossil fuels. There's no need to be burning fossil fuels anymore, and we also are going to have to look at active ways to cool the planet down. A lot of that heat comes from the oceans, and we're going to have to find a way to cool the oceans down because a lot of this is driven by the warmer than normal ocean waters. The oceans, it was predicted that the oceans were going to be the first thing that were going to heat up from climate change and start influencing the weather, and that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing it here in the East Coast with the humidity, like for 6 months out of the year, and it's only going to get worse. So anyway, I hope you check out the article. I'll link some other articles to what's going on in Alaska. State of emergency there. It's not supposed to be hot there, and yet it is hot. The jet streams are all out of whack, and it's just nuts what's going on. And of course, this is something I'm going to continue to keep you posted on as this climate crisis continues to get worse. Take care.